one look at it, I was like, wow, this guy doesn't know it yet, but he's coming the night of adventure. Yeah. And without further ado, here he is. He's going to come up and introduce himself. He's really, really nice gentleman.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dave and North Brewery, for inviting me to this. It's a really cool event, and hearing Ashley's story and Misha's stories. It's cool to hear other people from here doing crazy things. So it's not just me. So to start this off, we were lucky when we did the event we did last summer. We did an event for charity where we were going to try and run from Peggy's Cove to Portapique. Obviously, we all know, living in Nova Scotia, what happened there this year, and it's just gut-wrenching. So we wanted to inject a little bit of positivity. So we attempted to go 24 hours on foot. I was the one running, had pacers, crew, people to help out. So without further ado, they made a short documentary about it, so you guys can watch the video, and then I'll go through a couple of talking points.
My name is Liam McVarnock. I'm going to be attempting to run 176 kilometers. And we're going to try to do this all in less than 24 hours. This is what happens when you break your physical limits. This is the big run.
race has actually begun. He's out of that nice kind of warm up honeymoon days of running where it all feels good and you think it's going to be amazing till the end. He's in a nice kind of trance right now. Everything, like all energy everywhere, different minds. Like thought-wise and everything is has like one singular focus for him. It's just left, right, left, right, left, right, your pattern. And he's trained. He just keeps going. We're only slightly off his goal pace, which is amazing considering it's a goal. You know, it's like a dream pace. He's only about 20 minutes back right now, so he's doing really good. He's gonna definitely have under 24 hours of total run.
I had one fairly persistent thought as I was running through, especially after the 50-kilometer mark when my shins were very jacked up. And it was just, I was looking for my breaking point, you know, convincing myself to leave an aid station when I can't even walk, let alone run yet.
Like you said, aid station, we'll see it one at a time. One at a time. Yeah, you guys got this.
And then convincing myself I needed it then again to run. In my head, I was like, you're not at your breaking point yet, so you have to keep going. And I didn't have an exact moment where I hit that breaking point, but I think the whole experience itself was the breaking point because it was the most suffering I've ever experienced. Things got tough. I was mentally, it was a very dark place for me. You know, when you run 2 marathons, or double the distance you've ever covered, and you realize that you need to double that again in the dark, and then add some. And then, you know, I just kept telling myself that when you think you're at the limit, probably at 40%. It hurt every step, just every step. But you take one after the other, you focus on aid station to aid station, you focus on your family, your friends, the people that are there to support you.
Keep fighting. Telephone pole to the left. Try and break up the jog.
Hey guys, Connor here. I'm just here to report on Liam's status. Liam is still going. His whole lower body is in rough shape, but he's still trucking along. He actually had 2 guys show up at 3 a.m. today and helped him run the last few legs. One guy has only ran an 8K in his whole life, based on the marathon, because he was at Spa day's run. So that's super cool. And yeah, hopefully he keeps going, and we'll see you guys later when he's just about finished.
Thank you. So, first of all, I'd like to shout out Devin McDougall. There was originally me and 3 crazy friends that planned this thing, and one of the key members, he's in the building tonight supporting me, so big round of applause for Devin McDougall. So, yeah. What? Thank you. So, with the run, we, I don't know where it came from or how we necessarily got the distance, but to give you a backstory, Andrew, who was the pacer in that video, we both did the same triathlon event the year before, but we didn't know each other at the time. So then we ended up working in the same building, and if you have 2 crazy good people hanging out together, they don't realize each other are crazy. So we're talking about things, and we're like, oh, 176, yeah, it's definitely doable, not crazy, let's do that. So on about 3 weeks' notice, we planned it, drove the course the week before, called the charity the week before and said, hey, we're going to raise some money for you guys if you're okay with it. They were on board. So yeah, we set out with the goal of raising $2,900 for Big Brothers Big Sisters. We got the number from, obviously there was 22 victims in Portapique. There was also 6 people that went down in the cyclone crash, and then there was the 1 snowbird pilot. So 29 people, we figured we'd try and get 100 for each. Seemed achievable. So that's kind of how we spawned the idea. Next slide. So when we started Peggy's Cove, obviously it's all exciting. You just before you're gonna do something that you have no idea how it's gonna go. I'm not someone like Brad that's done a million of these things, so when you're gonna go into the pain cave, like Ashley talked about, somewhere where you're gonna go deep, you assume the best at the beginning. But at the beginning of the race, it was obviously all smiles. Next slide. So the first 50 Ks, they were good. Everything felt great. There was no cramps. It was a little hot, but on the grand scheme of things, that's the least thing you have to worry about. Obviously, once I hit the 43 kilometer mark, something weird happened because I had never run more than 42 kilometers before. So mentally it kind of scares you when you're now in unknown territory. So again, it was all good there, and then, next slide. And then shit kind of started hitting the fan a little bit. So at aid station 3, that was in Waverly at the fire department. That's when I got my first set of blisters, and I had been in the heat for about 6 hours. It was probably about 5 pounds lighter, and I was beginning to feel very human. For the first time in the race, the question in your head of why am I doing this comes up, which, like Ashley said, it's a very easy answer because I signed up for it. No one told me to do this, I chose this. But you start having some inner dialogue, whether good, bad, you try and keep it good. But next slide. And then this was just, it was consistent. It was, at this point, I wasn't training before this race. I guess I should highlight. I wasn't really training for this. I was like powerlifting. So by then, my shins were jacked up at this point. They were like 2 rocks, and I was just, my team they set up timers on my watch, so it's like 15 minutes salt pills, the next 15 minutes you eat food, 15 minutes salt, next 15 food. So for me, my life just became a never-ending cycle of salt and goo gels. Which isn't the sexiest thing, but it's a lot better than thinking about, I gotta run another 100 kilometers. It's like, oh, 8 minutes till I get to eat another salt pill, or, 13 until I get to drink my 16th salted caramel of the day. So it's pretty good for breaking it down, but then, as you guys would have seen in the video, once I came into that middle aid station, Daddy Green's Pizzeria, I'm gonna have to go meet Daddy Green someday, because I had a very important moment in my life there, but next slide. This was bad. The car drove up next to me at like 86 kilometers, and I was like, how far away are you guys? And they're like, oh, you're like 3K, and I was like, cool. So I went for like 20 kilometers. I'm like, how far away? Like 2 kilometers away. You're like, oh. Alright, look down. 11 minutes till a salt pill. Still no good. No reprieve there. So you finally see it. And then you realize that they're not even set up at Daddy Green's, but they're 500 meters past Daddy Green's. So that was a kick to the stomach. But then you get there, and you sit down, and your team looks at you, and everyone just has this look on their face like they just seen a ghost, and they're like, no smiles, no one's even talking to you. Everyone like avoided me. I was the plague. I was COVID-19 at that time. They were far away from me. So you eat, you try and focus, but then you lose sunlight, so the sun's setting, and then you realize you get to do that whole thing over again. Restart. So from this point onwards, it was a bigger test than I ever had. I did an Ironman the year before. It wasn't even close to this. I can't even describe it. It's good because you know this is what you're looking for, but this experience from this point onwards for me was like, it was like the beach growing up in Paulette's Cove. It's like every 3 telephone poles, you're like, I could stop technically, but I told a lot of people I was going to run this big distance, so I probably should keep going. Next slide. So at this point, I put in an audiobook. Before then, I was trying to go a cappella. I was trying to go no music. Put David Goggins in for a little while. And I wrote a couple points here because at this point, I was saying nice things to myself, but I was also kind of driving myself like a drill sergeant. So it's like, you can do this and stuff, but also, I don't know what I can say on Facebook Live. Don't punk out, like, you can't sell yourself short, like, it doesn't hurt that bad. You signed up for this, keep going, suck it up kind of thing. So it was a little bit of tough love, but also acknowledging the fact that you can't bend your ankle anymore, things like this. And then the inevitable question, so it's like, can I actually do this? Why did you train for this? Why did you tell everyone you were going to do this? Why don't you just stop? Everyone's telling you can stop. But like in my head, I was actually looking for that breaking point because when I finished, I remember the triathlon the year before, I crossed the finish line and I was like excited for 5 seconds, and then I was like borderline depressed because I was looking for this crazy pinnacle moment where I was challenged to the peak. And I feel like some people in this room who have done these big scary adventures, whether it's kayaking to Sable Island or doing a crazy dog sledding race or biking across the province, like you hit that pinnacle point, and I was kind of looking for that. So this was the worst part of the race, but also the best part of the race. So at that point, it was just broken down into telephone pole to telephone pole, salt pill to salt pill, one aid station at a time.
Did you hallucinate?
I did not hallucinate, unfortunately. Or unfortunately. I guess depending on how you look at things, there's no hallucinations though. At least that I think of. And then the only thing I would say about that is, kind of like Ashley said, in the middle of the night when we were running through like back road number 2 Old Trunk Highway, there was no cars on the road. So at one point we had, I hope O'Regan's doesn't listen to this, but we had the van going, and Devin and them were driving. They had the door open, and we were in the middle of the highway, and they were bumping like everything from like country music to like DMX to Tupac to back. Like it was like a live concert, and we look up, and it's like this full moon that's beautiful, and you see like the whole Milky Way. It looks like every star. I turned my headlamp off. So I wasn't a hallucination, but it might have been the most beautiful thing I ever seen. Maybe because I was also like starved of every nutrient your body can have. But it was as close as it gets, I think. And then at kilometer 147, so by then I was already, as you see at the ending scene, I wasn't running very good anyways, but I felt this feeling go in my knee that I think you would only replicate if you had an injury in sports like that, where you feel like this burn or this pop. And I tried going on crutches. My whole family was urging me to stop. They were reasonable. Mom, Dad, they're concerned. They're like, "Are you have a job? Stop." But then Matt, he was wearing the shortest of the shorts out of the 3, so Matt's in the back. He was the devil or the angel, depending on how you look at things, and he said, "No, fuck that. You gotta keep going. You can't stop. There's like 26 kilometers to go. Turning around now would just not make sense. Don't listen to your parents. They don't know anything." So as you do, you listen to your friend. So then we went on crutches. We got a good 4K in. More things started failing. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't want to make excuses, but my hands were 2 large blisters. My sides of my back where the crutches were 2 large blisters. Can't take the weight off your legs. Can't put the weight in your hands. People had to go to work on Monday, so it would have been another 24-hour event on those crutches. Where I don't know if I had that in me. Maybe next year, but. So at that point, we decided to pull the plug. We were 4 times our fundraising goal for the charity. So yeah, we handed it off. The boys finished it strong, and we got to hear some really touching stories from people that were involved with the charity. From like a 90-year-old woman meeting us at the memorial, telling her she grew up in that community, and it's like one of the most heartfelt things she'd ever seen. To like an 8-year-old boy telling me he's going to run his first time ever, and he's going to run 4K with his friends the next week. So you don't know the impact you have, and when you get out of your comfort zone and you go out somewhere adventurous and you take on a crazy task, some cool things can happen. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Liam. I was feeling it. I was feeling it, man. That is what I'm talking about. That was fantastic. I do wonder though. I'm curious because what does it take to hallucinate? Like, what do you got to do? I was watching Courtney DeWalter. She did the big backyard race, and she's crazy ultra marathoner, anyways. And she's telling me all the crazy things she sees, but she's running like 256 miles.
I saw someone like a little kid playing the violin or something.
Yeah, like Mickey Mouse throwing t-shirts to the crowd.
2 nights minimum, I think.
2 nights minimum?
Yeah.
That was fantastic, Bill. Thank you, Liam, for sharing your story.